Hey, folks, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast with your host, Tracy Hayes. My goal of this show is to bring the best of everyone who is involved in the real estate industry. And today I have a 20-year combat veteran who has only been in the business a few years, but he is on fire. I would recommend to anyone getting into the business to actually have a chat with him. He has done a lot of things in the right way and really has well connected in the St. Augustine market. Everyone's story is unique, and this was one I want everyone to hear. Folks, let's welcome Matt McCord of Legacy Realty Investments to the show. Matt, welcome.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it, Tracy.
No problem. I'm glad you can make it over today. And just a little pre-show discussion we're having. You hang your real estate agent hat with EXP.
Yep, correct.
All right, and then you have the Legacy Realty Investments is your, I guess what we would call it, your construction side. How would you describe that?
Yeah, so ultimately we're like an intermediary. We're kind of like the developer, but we're also an intermediary for investors. So we have the builder. So as a real estate agent, I find the land, I do the due diligence on the land, make sure it's buildable, and then we build the houses and then we resell them. But what we do is instead of us taking out the loan on every single one, we use private money for the most part, either private money or capital from another company, and we utilize that to build the houses.
Right.
So.
And the honorable thing is you're really focused on a huge demand, really nationwide. And that's that workforce housing area for the teachers, the county workers and so forth that are just on those salaries that by themselves in some of these areas like St. Johns County, Florida, the average pricing of a home has just gone through the roof.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially in the St. Augustine area. We focus West St. Augustine. We've built a couple down in St. Augustine Beach on some vacant land down there, but ultimately we're trying not to push. We keep the profit margin as small as we can to continue to do business. But kind of the way this company started, we started January of 20, was I had a customer who was a single dad, just went through a divorce. We could not find anything in his price range and came across a company that was doing a similar thing. And it was a nice quality house. And got him in there, and as I continued to look, we just couldn't find anything.
Right.
And I said, you know what, we're going to start doing this. And so we started doing it.
And to not really get sidetracked because of my normal flow of my show, but I want to stay on this topic for a moment. People on an average daily basis, and I think we're feeling it a little bit right now because of COVID, and obviously, we lost our restaurants and so forth, and even going into some of the restaurants have signs, please be patient, we're at minimal staffing. Yeah. These are the people that fill those jobs. Whatever you're going to the supermarket or whatever, this workforce housing. So when you don't have housing for them and they got to go further and further out, well, they find jobs closer and closer to their home, and they're unable to service those who may be in the higher rent areas. So workforce housing is definitely, obviously a real focus, I know, for St. Johns County because we're so far behind St. Augustine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the perfect example is the one we were talking about before when we kicked off was, we just went under contract on Friday with a single mom. She's got 2 or 3 kids. She's living with her parents right now. She can't find a house. And the houses she could find just weren't suitable for her and the kids. She's not looking for anything extravagant, just something she doesn't need to do a lot of work on, because she wasn't comfortable doing it. So
and this will really change because I know there's a lot of people, the builder that we work with, when they went under contract, even some of them just last year and they're closing now, they're closing with equity in their home. Yeah. And that is one of the biggest wealth builders is, someone, they're working, they're paying down their own mortgage, not someone else's when they're renting, they're paying down their own mortgage, and they're able to have that hopefully wealth as they grow and sell and maybe move in the next home or stay in that home. And, when they go to retire, that house is paid off and, they don't have an overhead or they have a value, they have a legacy they can of real estate.
Yeah, and that's exactly where we came up with the name. We were sitting around, we were talking, and we were like, we want people to be able to create a legacy for their families. We want to create a legacy for ours. and within the community. And we said it like 5 times in a row. And then my partner and I looked at each other and we were like,
yeah,
Legacy, there we go.
That's awesome. So let's go back. Let's get back on track though. Matt, who is Matt McCord? Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
So I was born in Sherman, Texas, small town, just north, about 45 minutes north of Dallas. Lived there until I was 12. Moved up to Kansas City when my dad got transferred, and that's where I finished up grade school and everything.
Because you were a big Kansas City Chiefs fan, if I'm not mistaken. You put that out on Facebook.
Yeah, a little bit. They're struggling a little bit this year.
Yes.
I actually was texting back and forth with a friend yesterday. I said, I swear, if we lose to the Washington football team, I'm done for the year. Like, I'm not watching anymore. So they got it together in the fourth quarter and
pulled it out yesterday.
pulled it out, yeah.
So now you put 20 years in the Navy. Did you go pretty much right out of high school, or?
Yeah, I actually signed up 9 months before I even graduated. I woke up one day, like a Saturday morning, and like any high school kid, I've been out partying on a Friday night. And woke up on a Saturday morning, or most high school kids, and my son's a good boy, so I was watching a movie, and there were some special operations guys on it. And I was a really good athlete in high school. I ran track and played soccer and a couple other sports. And I was like, I could do that, and honestly, all my friends were getting into drugs and they were just really spiraling. And I wasn't doing any of that, but I was like, I got to get out of here.
Right.
It was a smaller town, and I was just like, I got to get out of here.
Right.
And the ironic part is my dad did construction and home renovations and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't want to do this the rest of my life. And now it's what I'm doing as a career. But it's on my terms, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, I walked in, a couple days after I turned 18. I walked in and told the guy, hey, I want to be special operations. And it was actually a SEAL at that point. I was like, I want to be a SEAL because what I ended up getting into, bomb squad, there wasn't any war or anything at the time. And so nobody really knew that job existed. And he was like, well, you got to be in really good shape, and you got to take these tests, and, you got to be really fast and run. I'm like, let's go do it. And so we set up the appointment, and I signed up for the Navy a week later, went home, told my mom, she cried. All my teachers at school were excited. And yeah, that was it, man.
So in your position, EOD is explosive ordnance disposal. Is that?
Yeah,
that's
correct.
So, are you hanging out with the Marines most of the time? Because people think Navy, you're on the ship. I mean, where is your area? Where are they? Because I know you've been all over the world. I can imagine. Yeah. What is a day in the life?
So really, that's the cool thing about, especially Navy EOD. That's what they call it. EOD is short. We're an incredibly versatile group. They're trained in diving, any type of explosives you can think of, ordnance, from pipe bombs all the way up to nuclear warheads. And so, but our expertise is the water, obviously. And so underwater mines, stuff like that. If you ever hear about, countries potentially, mining shipping lanes and stuff like that.
Right.
That's where our expertise came in. And so it just depends what kind of team you're on, but we have guys on the ships with the Marines. We have guys on land with Marines. We have teams attached to SEALs, Special Forces, everything.
Because if I remember at the beginning of the Iraqi War, Saddam Hussein, they felt had mined a lot of the Persian Gulf or areas the strategic areas of the Gulf, and that would be something that you guys would have been going in and checking out, or
correct.
Interesting.
Yeah, so my team specifically, when I was in Iraq, our teams were in charge of clearing the roadside bombs and car bombs and stuff like that. So we spent 6 months over there doing that.
That's some amazing stuff. So after 20 years, you just said, you know what, I just don't want to do this anymore, or what? Or they said, you've done enough missions that you don't want to.
I probably would have done it forever. My family didn't want me doing it anymore.
Right.
For sure. It's a lot of time away. You spend about 250 to 260 days a year on the road training. And that's without deployments,
Right.
You do anywhere from a 4 to 6 month deployment. So, it's very hard on the family. It takes a special spouse. It takes, some really strong kids to be able to do that. And honestly, man, it just got to a point of, I lost 2 really close friends, within 2 months of each other. And November and January. And my daughter, one of them was a neighbor of ours and a good friend. And my daughter, she was, I don't know, man, maybe 5 or 6 at the time. And she looked at me and said, Dad, please don't go to war again. You know, and I was pretty much done at that point. Like,
right.
you know, when your 5-year-old little blue-eyed baby looks at you and asks you not to, it's,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, I hear you.
time to pick a new career, you know.
So where are you at now? Where are you living at that point in time? You discharge out of the Navy.
Yeah, so we were actually in Virginia Beach. I was up there 14 years, and my last 2 years, I actually came down to what they call a shore detachment out of Mayport.
Right.
And so I was the senior guy at the shore detachment there, and it was a cool job. It was a cool job to finish up with. Small team, 5 or 6 people, but we have a response from the Florida-Georgia line all the way down into the Caribbean. So especially the Caribbean area was a big bombing range during World War II.
Right.
And so Vieques, stuff like that. And so stuff washes up on the beaches all the time. And if it's military ordnance, the military has to respond to it. So
oh wow, I
so
did
that
not
was
realize that.
that was my last 2 years. It was a cool job. I got to travel to islands of Puerto Rico, you know, monthly or so.
And they were having a battle. The island that you just mentioned, wasn't there a battle because it wasn't the whole island. It was like one end of the island they were using at one time, and so there wasn't there a battle with the citizens there in the Navy?
Yeah,
I can't remember. It was like, I don't know,
there
it was
used
10,
to
15 years ago.
Yeah, there used to be a base down there called Roosevelt Roads.
Right.
And it was across from the island. And so they eventually, you know, they fought to get all that back, and they still haven't done anything with it. I mean, it just kind of sits, you know, vacant right now.
Right. Right. Interesting. So you're there. You decide to come south, come to St. Augustine. What put you in the real estate? Did Dad's bug in the construction and
No,
housing?
you know,
Or how
it was kind of, so we moved down here. Family was down here, St. Augustine Beach. They all lived there. My ex-wife's family at the time all lived in St. Augustine. Her sister, her grandma, her parents. And so we moved down to this area. We initially lived in Nocatee, and we built a house in there, and I regret not holding on to that one because I think it doubled in price.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
About 3 years. But we moved down here, and I have my master's in business.
Right.
I got my master's and my MBA while I was still in, and man, I was like, I just don't want to sit in an office. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to try and climb the corporate ladder. The whole purpose of retiring from the military is to be able to spend more time with my family. So I knew I wanted to be my own boss, but I didn't know how. And my brother-in-law was actually he is a real estate agent in St. Augustine Beach, Brandon Parsons, and he you know, he kind of like, I came and kind of shadowed him and checked it out, and you know, my ex kind of pushed me into it. She was like, "You're on your phone all the time. You're really good with people."
Yeah.
She's like, "You like houses." I mean, our 3 houses in Virginia Beach, sorry. Our real estate agent was like, "You guys pretty much sold these for me. Like, have you ever thought about getting into the business?" So there were just a lot of roads that kind of led into it, and it's something I enjoy, honestly.
Right.
Like, it's a tough career. It's a lot tougher career than I thought.
Right.
And I think that's why most real estate agents fall out so quickly. Same with lenders, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And loan officers.
Well, there's because there is an involvement in getting relationship with people, and you know, yeah, you can go out and buy leads if you want to, and you can wear yourself out. Just for instance, first 12 years I was in the business, I was in the call center. After a while, you get worn out. You know, you're pounding, you're on that phone literally all day long. Someone's measuring you and that sort of, you know, what you're doing, how long you've been on the phone and so forth. And because you're not building that one-on-one relationship, you're talking to somebody on the phone and just selling them over the phone. And yeah, there's techniques to doing that. But one thing I noticed with you, and I think it was, you know, I don't know if it's been, 2020 just like took like this gap in my life. Going back and when I met you,
it's like a blackout.
Yeah, when we met at Angie's, and you seem to be very focused. Where I find a lot of agents, they're they want to come in the office and they want to, they think they're going through the motions, as loan officers do too. They're going through the motions of these, I don't know, things every day that you can do, but not actually focused on the thing that makes that phone ring, that thing that has someone call you and say, please go show me some houses,
Yeah.
or hey, I want to sell houses. And you seem to be focused very much on those systems and making that happen at a more rapid pace than the average agent, if I can describe it that way.
Yeah, I've been pretty blessed, man. I had a pretty good first year, but I was just kind of working it out and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I'm always trying to get to the next level. But that first year, I think my first year in the business, like the first 7 or 8 months, you're just trying to figure it out.
Right.
Especially if you don't have a lot of mentorship or whatever, you're just trying to figure it out. So that first year, I think I sold like 8 or 9 houses. And for me, I was like, oh, this is terrible. I only sold 9 houses. And our broker at the time was like, he's like, Matt, most people sell like 2 or 3 houses their first year, if that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. But then I always set my goals higher,
Right.
But for me, when it clicked, like I was really struggling that first year and just burned out, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like following the scripts. I was doing exactly what the real estate books say. And I'm like, but that's not me. You know what I mean? Like, people want to work with me for me, right?
Right.
They could go to any real estate agent. So what separates you? And I realized that, my interpersonal skills are probably one of my strongest traits.
Right.
And my work ethic. And so I'm like, okay, how can I combine those? And then I don't know if you ever watch it, but Ricky Carruth on Instagram, he does podcasts every day and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a solo agent, does like 100 houses a year. Well, I started watching his stuff, and it was ultimately something he said really hit home to me. And he said, stop selling people a house. Start working with them as if they're family. Like, would you sit in front of your mom or your dad or your brother or sister and just follow a script and try and, teach
Right.
them that way? Or
Right.
would you just, would you get to know them? Would you build a relationship? And so that's what I started doing right away. As soon as that light bulb kicked off was, I was like, okay, like this makes sense. Because I was trying to do the cold calls and everything, with Keller Williams. I was doing the bolts and all that.
Yep.
Call a lot of people every day to get used to it. Like, I understand the purpose of it, but it wasn't me. Like I just could never get comfortable. And I started telling myself, I was like, man, I'm really, like, almost every appointment I went on, I earned the trust of the customer, right, of the client. And I was like, so how can I do this otherwise? And so I just started calling people and just having conversations with them, and not trying to sell them anything, not trying to get their listing, not trying to sell them a house. Just talk to them and get to know
What's
them.
going on? Yeah.
And it was especially important because my second year in real estate was COVID. So it was especially important then. And I just started going around interviewing local business owners, promoting their stuff and just getting to know the community and getting to know people. Because coming here brand new, I had 0 connections, like none whatsoever. If I would have stayed in Virginia Beach, I would have been absolutely killing it from the start because I had hundreds, probably thousands of connections up there.
What's Carruth's first name again? Ricky?
Ricky.
Ricky Carruth. I started listening to a more loan officer oriented. When I first started, listening to podcasts and starting this, I was listening to more just real estate because I wanted to know what the real estate agents were looking for and learning from that. But the last couple of months, I've been really focused on a couple loan officer programs, and they're talking the same thing. Everything that you just said, the relationship building, go around the local businesses, promote them, put a Google review in, even if you just shoot a little video. We were talking earlier about you want to start doing that. Even a little video, say, hey, I'm having lunch at so-and-so, and here's the manager, and he's great, come by. I mean, they have a great whatever. Those little things. There was one agent I was listening to. She started mentioning different businesses on her, I think it was on her podcast or on her videos, and all of a sudden she actually started getting calls from these businesses. They're like, hey, thank you. They started creating a relationship because she was giving, mentioning them, and they wanted to give back to her, and creating that, and that's what it came down to, the relationships. And then it just starts to, I assume it started to snowball because those people you spent time with are like, man, they're telling everybody, you got to call Matt, you want to sell or buy a house.
Yeah, and ultimately it's, small business is tough. I mean, and that's, I think that's the biggest problem when people get into it. They don't recognize this as a business because, unfortunately, there's, and it's all what somebody else does. But this isn't a career for a lot of people. You know, they'll sell some houses, they do referrals and stuff like that. And so for the folks that it's a full-time career, I mean, you really have to run it like a business. You know, you have to be business-minded and then have the interpersonal skill to keep it, you know, flowing.
Right.
So
you know,
Sales Remastered is a loan officer one on Instagram that I watch a lot. And that guy's awesome, and he talks a lot about exactly what you're saying.
I think in Ricky became your coach in a way, listening to his podcast.
Yeah.
He was almost coaching you in a general sense, but you're listening to that podcast. And I think a lot, whether it's loan officers or agents that are listening, if you are not, you know, following someone like that in your lane or hiring a coach, you are leaving a lot of money on the table. If you're waiting, well, I'm just going to get better and better, you are probably not going to be there. Maybe you're there, but you're going to be frustrated and go back and look and say, man, if I just started listening to Ricky 5 years ago, where would I be today, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's great coaches out there, and if you can't afford a coach, podcasts are free. There's some guys out there, you just ask around, that are giving great information like Ricky, because the podcast that I listen to is giving the same information.
Yeah, and that's his big thing is, you know, you don't have to pay for coaching, just listen to me, I'll teach you. And you know, you want to follow people, you want mentors that are obviously at a level where you want to be. Then when you hit that level, you find somebody that wants to be at the next level. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that was the first thing when I got into real estate. I was at the brokerage, and I'm always watching and listening. And there's a group of brand new agents, like 8 of them, and they started this like brand new agent group or whatever.
Right.
And I told them, they were like, you know, do you want to join up with us? And I was like, no, I wasn't trying to be, you know, snobbish or anything about it, but I said, what are we going to learn from each other? You know what I mean? Like, we're all brand new. What are we going to learn from each other? So I found the people who were doing 100, 200. Sarah Rocco, she's amazing.
Yes.
You know,
I actually have an invite out to her to have on the show. If you will back that up for me, get her on.
Sarah, hop on, girl. But Sarah's amazing. You know, Cece Underwood's amazing. You know, I started watching them and following them and seeing what they do and how they did it. And Sarah said something to me, you know, and she said, Matt, you have to give it everything you have for 18 months. She said, if you can do it for 18 months without getting burned out, she's like, it'll change your life forever. You know, and so, and I sat down and told my kids that. You know, I was like, here's the deal, guys. Like, Daddy's going to be crushing it and working his butt off for the next 2 years, and I promise it'll change our lives, you know.
And that goes back to, and I'm sure Rick has mentioned it, consistency.
Absolutely.
You got to keep doing it. If you're going to do the videos or you're going to do a podcast or, you know, whatever you're doing, you got to do it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Because the reality is, in our business, not everybody's buying and selling a home every day.
Oh, yeah.
Or knows somebody that is. But when they do, who are they going to think of?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, how do you stand out from that as well? You know, because everybody goes in with the same line of, "Hey, do you know anybody that wants to buy, sell, or invest?" Like, that's the standard, you know, real estate line. You know, so what do you do to differentiate yourself, or, you know, and also be a person. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we're friends on Facebook, and I'll put stuff with my kids. Like, I just had an amazing weekend down in Clearwater Beach for my birthday with the kids, and you know, we're like eating crab and flying kites on the beach and everything. And when I see so many business folks, loan officers, real estate, no matter what it is, it's just constantly real estate. Look what I sold. Here's new listing. You kind of, it's like when your parents are yelling at you, you know what I mean? You eventually just start tuning it out.
Well, that's another thing that's been on the podcast that I've listened to that you're talking about, and I'm sure you got to show them that you're real. You're a real person. You've got kids, and you enjoy being on the beach, and you've been over to Clearwater, and you know that you are real. Not pictures of your food. No one really cares about that. But hey, I had a great meal at this restaurant. They want to hear that.
Exactly. Exactly. You know? And you know, that's the best part about it. And some people are worried about doing that because I don't know why, but it seems like in our businesses there's a persona that you can't have a life. You know, and if you set that perception, then you're going to get eaten alive by the customers, by yourself. You're just going to get exhausted. And so there's times you may miss a customer or something because they see you and they're like, well, you should be doing this for me instead of off, you know, on vacation all weekend or, you know, whatever it may be. And I'm sorry, that's probably just we're not going to match up at that point anyway.
Right.
And so it's probably best, but
Yep.
you know, people need to understand you have a life and a family and a career and something outside of your career.
All right. So recently you jumped from almost 2 years at Keller Williams?
Yeah, about 2.5, I think.
About 2.5.
Yeah.
And you've moved over to EXP. What brought that on you?
So Keller Williams was great. I mean, it was a great start for me. It was really good people. I had some amazing mentors there. You know, CC and Sarah are both there, and the broker Lee Ford was great. But when COVID happened, everything went to technology based and all that, and I wanted something that was a little more. I don't know. I was just looking for something a little different. I can't really you know, put my thumb on exactly what it was, but I just knew I needed something different. And, you know, I looked around, I looked at all the stuff, and people were jumping to various different companies, and, you know, people were joining various companies. And so I always do a lot of research. I try not to do analysis by paralysis by analysis, but,
Right.
you know, I'm very heavy into research and things. And so, you know, I knew a couple of people who had jumped to EXP or switched over to EXP. And so I just called them. I'm like, hey, tell me about it. And then when I made the decision that I did want to go to EXP, the technology was the first thing. Like,
Yeah.
Because Keller Williams was really working hard on their technology. You know, Gary Keller was like, hey, we're going to become a technology company. But it wasn't firing on all cylinders yet because they were reinventing it from scratch, right? I was like, EXP just made sense because they started out as a cloud-based company. You know, there are brick and mortar offices, but they started out as a cloud-based company, and everything's going cloud-based, you know,
Yeah.
internet-based, cyber-based, whatever it may be. And so I started looking at their technology, and instead of recreating stuff, they just pretty much purchased stuff that was already
There's brilliant
working.
people out there creating all sorts of
Yeah.
widgets every day for
Exactly,
our
man.
industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was a former Keller Williams guy that started it, and it just made sense for me. And then I also really like the fact that there's multiple ways of passive income within it. Because I don't want to do this job forever. You know what I mean? Like, it's an exhausting career. It
Well,
really is.
to take the weekend to Clearwater, you got to leverage others.
Exactly. You have to be able to leverage other people. You got to have a passive income coming in. Anything you ever look at for people who have wealth, whatever it is, they don't only have one job. You know, like everybody thinks of, you know, oh my God, I just drew a blank. Tesla dude.
Right. Elon.
Musk.
Yeah, Elon Musk. There you go. Everybody thinks of him as a Tesla dude, right? Like that's how. Well, you know, he started PayPal, right? That's where he got started. So now PayPal just feeds him passive income all the time. You
Right,
know?
right.
When he took a huge hit for his Joe Rogan incident, you know, yeah, he lost a ton of money, but he has passive income coming from everywhere else. You know what I mean? So that was a big thing with them. You know, you can buy stocks through them. I get discounted stocks with every closing. I purchase discounted stocks with every closing. So in a year, I've got, you know, $12,000 in stock with, you know, EXP. And then as I bring in, I love teaching. So as I bring in new agents, that's a line of income that I can do there. You know, because, and the nice thing is it's a revenue share. Like Keller Williams has something similar. Theirs called profit share. But, you know, as they're doing that, it doesn't come out of the profit of the agent, it comes out of the revenue of the company. And so there's just a lot of little different income streams within the company that I really like.
Right.
So once I switched over, then I was like, okay, there's different groups within EXP. Like you can go about it on your own, but there's different groups that you can join up with. And the nice thing is, like, yeah, you're in their revenue share, but it doesn't matter. It's not coming out of my pocket. The great thing about it was, like, the mentorship was it is amazing. Like we do Zoom training 8:30 to 9:30 every day of the week. We do summits every year where the top people, Brent Gove is coming in, and Grant Cardone's coming in. I saw one of your books over here with Grant Cardone.
10X up here.
Yeah. You know, they're coming in and they're giving this training, and these are the top people in the world, you know,
Right.
and they're jumping on calls with us in the morning, and you know, for nothing, you know, and they're because
you know,
that was the biggest thing I saw is they really wanted to just grow people and grow the business, and they've gone from, God, I think 5 years ago it was like 1,200, or 4 years ago 1,200 agents. They're over 60,000 now.
Yeah.
And their goal is by the 10-year mark to be at like 1 million agents.
Right. Right. So, I want to touch a little bit because you mentioned Grant Cardone, and I got Ryan's book up here as well in personal development, because it sounds like you're when we met at Angie's group, that's what we're doing, a mastermind group talking about John Maxwell's group book there, and the importance of it. Yeah. And like you mentioned, training from 8:30 to 9:30. I'd be like, oh man, I'm gonna get in real estate. I don't want to get up 8:30 every morning, 9:30, like, but that. I imagine that training is set to kind of give you some juice for the day, because that's what I get out of personal development. Now, people read the 10X book and like, oh, I can't do that. But if you really think about it and really start listening to others as well, you start to go back to what Grant Cardone's talking about in the 10X. Yeah. Daniel and I always talk about David Goggins, and like, what would David Goggins do? And it's not necessarily a physical thing. It's in your business as well. Yeah. And whether it's the fear of picking up the phone, or, this is what you got to do. You got to meet this many people to find a deal, and you got to just keep going and be in that consistency. And it's all the whole mix of these guys. Yeah. And gals of giving you that personal development, whether it's on a podcast or in a book, so you can 10X it. Yeah. You can 10X it in your own way. Maybe not. You're not going to be Grant Cardone and take, I don't know, whatever, he took $1,000 or $100 and makes it into a big business. He obviously, is at another level. But geez, would we not just like a slice of the pie of his wealth?
And honestly, there's no reason not anyone can do that. I'm not by anywhere close to that yet. Yeah. But I have the goals.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're exactly right. Like, I got 4 kids, man, so I don't have a choice. I got to be up at 6 a.m. to get them going for school and everything else. So I might as well do something with that time, because I could very easily. And there's some days, I'm not gonna lie, there's some days where I'm like, man, I'm gonna go back to bed until 10. Like, I'm struggling today. If that's what it is, like, a couple of the 2 guys, Tom Martin and George Philbeck, who run the group that I ended up joining called the GPS group. They're on there and they bring in amazing people every day, and those guys themselves have done, hundreds of millions in real estate. And then there's a guy named Fred DeFalco down in West Palm Beach. He's done billions in real estate, and he, for free, will teach you about luxury. He'll teach you about that. And those guys, they're killing it. They don't need to sell anything else. They've got passive income all day long. They've got stock shares all day long, but they're there every single morning from 8:30 to 9:30. Even just in case there's a question that somebody needs, And so I interviewed 3 different groups, and one of them, all they talked about was money. I've got a private jet. I've got a house over here. I've got a house.
That's Clubhouse.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
But okay, how do you get me there? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's awesome, but how do you get me there? And none of them could really. They didn't have a planned thing. And when I met this group, it was actually an agent that I was friends with when I was at Keller. He was like, "You've got to check these guys out, man." And
you got to run the play. They're giving you the play.
Exactly.
You got to run the play.
Well, and it's just like, there's some days like you just wake up and you're like, God, I don't want to do this today.
Yeah.
But you get on and you see a brand new agent. She just got her first deal. It's a first time home buyer. She's so excited. He's so excited, whatever it may be. And you're like, you know what? Yeah, there's somebody out there who needs my help today. I need to do my job.
Right. To conclude what I was going there is just grab a book, and you talked about your kids there. What my kids see me is with a book. Yep. Or my son's going to football practice, and I'm doing laps around the football field, but I've got my earbuds in. I'm listening to a podcast. Yeah. He knows I'm not listening to music because I don't listen to music. Because when they sit in the car with me, a podcast comes on. Yeah. And that's what I'm feeding, that positive energy, knowledge, and going. Now, the one thing I think that can really distract you or hurt your business, you can take in too much and then be that analysis paralysis and go, what should I do? So personally, I think sometimes that's where the coach comes in to give you direction, or if you stick with one person like Rick Kruth, that this is what he's doing, I'm going to do it the Rick Kruth way, and I'm going to stick to that, because you can get, everyone's done it a little bit differently, and you can get to like, oh, which way should I go? And not actually get out of your chair.
Well, and you try and do too much all at once, and then it paralyzes you, like you were saying, and you get exhausted. And you're like, I can't accomplish anything. Same thing with goal setting. Like you mentioned, goal setting. I've got a goal to sell 50 houses a year, and you're like, God, 50 houses a year, that's a ton. but I also do mentoring through EXP, and that's one thing I love about EXP is they have a mentor program. And so I've got 10 agents all around the state of Florida that are just getting in, and for their first 3 deals, I mentor them. And so I love to teach, and so something I started doing is like this. Initially I was wearing myself out because I was individual calls with every single one of them. And I realized, like, man, I'm teaching the same thing to all of them. So Wednesday morning or Wednesday,
You put the 10 of them on a call.
We put the 10 of them on the Zoom call. We talk about what they did great that week. I teach them something that I learned that week, and it's been really good for me because it forces me to learn. But what I tell them is, like, when you're setting your goals, like 50 houses a year seems like a lot, but I have a nice little spreadsheet that I use, and it breaks down what 50 houses a year comes to. You know, you've only got to go on 2 or 3 appointments a week. You know, can you go on 2 or 3 appointments a week? You've only got to close, you know, one house, you know, every so many, you know, one house.
Well, and you think about, you surrounded yourself with Sarah. You talk to Cece. They've done that. And so for you to say that, it's not out of reach for you. For the new agent, they may think about it, but when they actually start talking and mixing with someone who has done it, then they start morphing into that person. But it's all, again, that cornerstone in personal development, hanging around with the 5 people. You hopefully are the 5th person in the room. And you grow and move on. It's so important to be talking. And again, that could be that podcast, listening to Rick Cruz. You're not interacting with him, but you're hearing him, and he's one of those guys who you thrive for. And again, imagine where he's at. You know, having only a slice of his pie would put you on another level.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, no doubt about it. So I want to circle back. We started with Legacy Investments because I think it's important. I want to kind of conclude our segment here with that, and the importance of workforce housing in our area as well as the country in general. And so you mentioned you have 3 houses in process right now.
We actually have 10.
10.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you look for when you're out there? Because you said the one thing you do as an agent is kind of find those one-off properties that you can put these houses in. What do you kind of criteria you're looking for?
Yeah. So ultimately, we're trying not to find one-off pieces of land. We're trying to find something where we can do at least 2 to 3 at a time, because it makes the process a lot smoother. And
Build 3 houses side by side.
Build 2 or 3 houses side by side. We've got 4 different models really that we use. One's a small one, under 1,000 square foot. We have 1 2-story. We have a 3-2 with a 1-car garage, and we have a 3-2 with a 2-car garage. And they range from the biggest ones just under 1,900 all the way down to just under 1,000. And so we look for the land that'll fit on that, right? It has to be certain dimensions to fit with the standoffs and everything. But we're looking for land that nobody else really wants, right?
Right.
Could be we're focused mainly on the West St. Augustine area right now, and it could be, you know, a piece of land completely dilapidated trailer, nobody's living in it anymore. It's a knockdown, right? It's just been sitting there with weeds growing all around it.
The good thing is power's probably there.
Power's already there, man.
Yeah.
Impact fees are already there.
Yeah.
You know, there's septic where I can tie into the sewer. We're looking for what people think is swampland. Well, it needs extra money spent on fill dirt, right?
Right.
Is ultimately what's going to be. It needs a little bit more work, level, fill dirt, but it's not wetlands. So there's a difference between swampland and wetland. You know what I mean? Swampland, I could put a bunch of dirt in, put some culverts in, throw in a driveway, and now you can get to your house. Wetlands we can't touch, obviously.
Right.
And so that's the key, is being able to find those and know the difference, or do the research to find the difference. So ultimately, that's what we're looking for in lots. The minimum really is about a 50 wide by 100 deep, because I want people to have a backyard.
Right.
And then with most of our houses being ranch, you know, they have to be a little bit deeper. The 2-story can be a little bit smaller. But yeah, ultimately, man, we're looking for a house in an area that needs it. You know what I mean? Like, we're really trying to just give people who thought it wasn't a possibility a really nice home to live in, raise their families, start their life, start a new, you know, maybe they're a first-time home buyer,
right.
And these houses they may be rolling into with, you know, a couple thousand in equity. But as we continue to build 40 or 50 a year, which is our goal, you know, right now we're at 10 this year. Next year our goal is 20 to 30, and you know, you have to have the goals set in place.
So in the areas around, you know, what do you just, because I was just thinking, you know, like the Flagler Estates, I imagine there's a lot of the manufactured homes out there that, you know, are been left. and there's hanging on land. Is that, an area that is it? Because there is roads in.
There's a couple builders out in that area.
Are they all septic, or are there actually sewer in?
I think the majority of them are septic out there. I really haven't dove into Flagler Estates too much, to be honest. I think the majority are septic out there. There may be some sewer connection. It's what's called a community redevelopment district, and so they're really looking to expand and improve that area. We're mostly St. Augustine right now. We're looking to do maybe Hastings and start to move west a little bit.
Yeah.
We looked into Palm Coast, but it's just Palm Coast is difficult, and the tax rates are a lot higher down there.
Higher there.
Yeah.
The Hastings area is so interesting to me because, I mean, if I was a big developer and had the big money, I can see another villages in Hastings. Put some golf courses in. You're on the river. That whole taxes are low. I just see that as that kind of area. I don't know. Maybe somebody, hopefully, someone has my idea out there. But obviously, I think you and my belief is St. Johns County for the next at least decade. Especially with the new highway coming in, the new Shands Bridge coming across and connecting it, let alone going over into Clay County. That's a whole nother area there, from Green Cove down to Palatka. To me, is an area of explosion out there.
And if you drive through Green Cove, it's a nightmare. I mean, the traffic's so rough right now. It needs to expand down into that area. So maybe we can work out a commercial loan, man, and develop something out there.
Yeah, I would definitely be invested in something in that area. Actually, I put the agent that I do work with over. I said, even just buying an investment property, because I know just for speculation, when that new bridge comes across and people can get on it and boom, be over to 95 and within minutes. It's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, and there's so much going up out there, with Rivertown and Shearwater and all those out there that they're running out of land out there. And the nice thing I like about those areas and neighborhoods is they're still keeping some of the beauty to the area instead of just wiping it all out. And
the juggle with the schools. You told me you moved to the northern part of the county for the schools.
Yeah.
Are your kids being redistricted with the new high school?
We're not. We stayed out of it. So mine go to Creekside. And then my 14-year-old Caleb goes to special needs school, North Florida School of Special Ed.
Okay.
Up in Jacksonville. It's an amazing school. And they're not, but you're going to see that a lot. Everybody got rejuggled from Nice when Tukoi opened up.
Right.
And then next year there's the one in Beach Walk.
Right.
That opened up, and then Nice and Bartram are going to get split again. And I think they're doing some grandfathering for the kids that are already there.
Yeah.
But it's great.
No, yeah, how they're doing the districting when literally, I mean, you're going to have Bartram, Creek, Nice, the new Beach Walk school, and Ponte Vedra. Literally, you got 5 schools there. I don't know if it's 15 miles between Bartram and Ponte Vedra. If it's that, it can't be more than 20. And you have all these schools in that quarter. How they're going to slice it up? Those guys that do that, bless them, because they're going to take a lot of heat from it. No matter what they do, they're going to take heat. Somebody's not going to be happy with it. But
you can't please everybody for sure. But.
Matt, I'm going to go into my 2-minute warning questions here as I officiate football. So I call it 2-minute warning. My flash round here.
So you're used to taking heat then?
Yeah, I'm used to taking heat. I used to take heat, yeah. Is it more important who you know or what you know?
It's both, because that old Roosevelt saying, people don't care what you know until they know that you care, right?
Right.
And so I think who you know helps you grow your business. They help you grow yourself. They help you get into the business. What you know helps you expand the business.
Take it to another level. Yep. What's on your travel bucket list?
Oh, man. I've done a lot of travel and very little of it's been to nice places.
That's right.
I'm going to Puerto Rico for Christmas.
Okay.
That's, my girlfriend and I are going to Puerto Rico for Christmas. So
cool.
That's a big one right now. I want to hit Europe. I think next year I talked to my son he's graduating and going off to college. I said, what do you want to do? Let's take a trip for graduation.
Right.
And so he wants to visit Switzerland and stuff like that.
Cool.
And so we're saving up now and hopefully make that happen.
That's awesome. Yeah, they got away from when I was growing up, and I'm sure probably when you were in high school. We did a trip to Sweden for 10 days, played basketball, did home stays and stuff. My sister did an exchange in Germany, and they don't do that stuff anymore.
No,
and that's sad. I think it's
that was really cool. I remember having a lot of foreign exchange students in the school, and it was so cool to learn from them, and something I always wanted to do, but never got a chance to.
You're out on the town, or just, well, hey, I'm going to go to a sporting event. Are you a Jumbo Shrimp guy or a Jaguars fan?
Oh, definitely not a Jaguars fan.
Jaguars game.
Yeah, I
game.
actually enjoy the hockey games.
The hockey. Oh, okay, the Iceman.
Yeah, the Iceman. I enjoy those games. It's fun seeing those guys trying to make it to the next level. You know what I mean?
And then even the what's that basketball? They're feeder to the NBA. They're the Giants. They're fun to watch too.
Yeah, I've actually never been to a Giants game. I need to take my son Caleb to those. He loves basketball, but we're a big lacrosse family. My son plays lacrosse at Creekside, and real supportive of Flagler lacrosse and JU. So my good friend Brian Duncan's the coach there, and so we try and catch their games. And when Jacksonville University's playing, we try and go catch theirs.
From what I understand, the ice rink where the Icemen actually practice, the one off of 95 there, you see, I guess is doing a whole big renovation. Their new rink is going to be Olympic size, is what I'm being told.
Yeah,
and it's going to be quite a place to go. Whether it's, I don't know, I assume there's a lot of youth hockey, but the obviously public ice time and so forth. It's going to be a really nice.
It'll be really cool because I have some friends whose kids play hockey, and they drive all the way to Tampa for good ice or Daytona right now.
Yeah,
so.
I can only imagine. So with each of my guests, I'm a big Ryan Serhant fan. I love his books. I've got his first one here, Sell It Like Serhant. Have you read that one?
I have not. No.
Or I've got Big Money Energy. It's your choice.
I'll take your recommendation, man.
Either one is great. Which is my recommendation? Flip a coin.
I tell you what,
take the original one since that's the first one. We'll so Selling Like Serhant, take that off the shelf there. Grab that for yourself for coming by today. I appreciate that. And
I like it.
Matt, what's the best way, whether if someone is one of those workforce housing possible clients, or maybe it's an agent or someone thinking about being an agent, wants to reach out to you, they heard the show and learned a little bit about you, what's the best way to contact you?
Easiest is by phone. I mean, phone or Facebook. I reply to every DM I get, but my phone number 904-826-5826, and it doesn't go through a call center or anything else. I answer every single call, and then if they have certain questions about the build or something, I'll send them over all the brochures. We do standard 1, 3, and 10-year builder warranties. You're not just getting a house and good luck. We're around to help. So,
and I think if you're an agent listening too that maybe new and maybe more struggling, I can't really afford a coach or whatever. To get in with your mentorship program, to get in with EXP, and that's like having a free coach.
Yep.
There to someone that's been there and done that and hears your pain and felt that pain before and knows what to do to get around it, because you certainly haven't gotten around it in a very rapid pace in your short period of time being in the industry.
So I've been very blessed, like I said, through work ethic and everything else, but I try and run it like I did my military teams. I have what we call SOPs, standard operating procedures. It doesn't change all that much. I mean, the business is shifting and everything, but if you have a plan, you can shift with it a lot easier. But yeah, I mean, the mentorship, just in case everybody jumps in, I don't want to be mad at me. Mentorship isn't free for the first 3. You pay a percentage of a commission to whoever the mentor is, but they're taking a lot of time to help with you. But I enjoy it, and even once people graduate, like they do their 3 sales, and then I graduate them from the mentor program, they stay on. They still show up to my Zoom meetings. I don't, I don't get anything for it at that point. I want to continue to see them succeed.
Right.
And so they stay on. We learn together. I learn from them. But that's a key. Like, don't just go into whatever you're doing. Don't go into it blind. Like, really find somebody who's going to guide you.
One of the podcasts I listen to, and so my focus says it great. Sometimes you got to write little checks to cash big checks.
Absolutely.
And to spend that little bit of your commission to get those first 3 under your belt, and then you can stay on there and still learn every day.
Yeah.
Oh, it's priceless.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
priceless. So, Matt, thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
All right.
Tracy, thank you.